Welcome back guys. Now let's continue with the ventilation perfusion ratios. Or you can say V by Q ratios. V by Q ratio. Now in this ventilation perfusion ratio, you already know the V value as well as the Q value. What is ventilation? Alveolar ventilation. And what is the Q? Q means perfusion, how much blood is going to the lungs. So we all know how much is the ventilation, the alveolar ventilation. We have calculated the alveolar ventilation is somewhere around 4 liters. Alveolar ventilation 4 liters. Have we calculated? Yes. And how much is the pulmonary circulation? How much blood is going to the lungs? 5 liters of blood is going to the lungs. Now you tell me V by Q ratio, that's a 4 divided by 5. How much it is? The value will be 0.8. So ventilation perfusion ratio, normal value is 0.8. 4 liters of ventilation and 5 liters of perfusion. So don't confuse where we have discussed about this alveolar ventilation. Here we have calculated the alveolar ventilation is 4 liters, 4200 ml, that's 4.2 liters, round figure you can say 4 liters, 4.2 liters or 4 liters you can say. Okay. Now let's discuss how ventilation perfusion, they are different in the different regions of the lung. Guys, concentrate here on this lung. Let's divide the lung into two parts mainly. Okay, let's divide the lung into two parts. That's the apex of the lung and the base of the lung. Okay, apical part of the lung and the base of the lung. First, let's start from the apex. Okay, or just generally look at this diagram and tell me, see what are these honeycomb shaped things? What are these things? These are the alveoli. Okay, alveoli. You can say God made our lung in such a way, the apex of the lung is different and base of the lung is different. Anatomically, they are different. See, the size of the alveoli in the apex of the lung, they are big alveoli. And what about the alveoli size in the base of the lung? Small alveoli. Big alveoli apex, small alveoli base. So anatomically, there are differences in the apex as well as base that we will discuss now. First, let's start with the apex. In the apex, almost you know. Okay, apex, 50% of the topic you already know. Tell me, sir, in the apex, what about the perfusion? Have I taught you? In the apex of the lung, there is maximum resistance. So as there is maximum resistance, there is less blood going to the apex of the lung. Yes. What about the perfusion, guys? That perfusion means nothing but the blood flow. Blood flow. So in the apex, there is maximum resistance, higher resistance. As there is higher resistance, there is less blood going to the apex of the lung. Very little blood, very minimal blood going to the apex of the lung. Very little blood is going to the apex of the lung. The topic, 50% topic completed. You know the perfusion. Now, how ventilation is different? Here, have I already taught you that in the apex of the lung, the alveoli are larger. The size of the alveoli are big. And that too, these alveoli are not stretchable. They are less compliant, means they are not stretching. See, more they stretch, they create more pressure difference, so they will get more air. Simple logic, guys. More they stretch, more air they will get. If they are not stretching, see, just size is not enough. Okay, don't think that if they are big alveolus means more ventilation is going to happen. No. What do we require? It's the pressure difference that is required. So whenever there is more volume change, more pressure difference will occur, so more air will come. So guys, in the apex of the lung, yeah, the size of the alveoli is bigger, but they are non-compliant, they are not stretchable. Okay, they are not creating any pressure difference. So the ventilation will be very less. So in the apex of the lung, see, they are less compliant alveoli and there is less ventilation happening. Now stop. Guys, look carefully. From this, can I say a statement? In the apex of the lung, okay, see, in the apex of the lung, ventilation is less as well as perfusion is also less. Both ventilation, perfusion is less. So apex is actually a stupid low, waste low. Okay, because less air is going there and less blood is also going there. Okay, if you want to donate your lung to someone, okay, so which lobe you have to donate? You have to donate your apex because it's waste for you. Okay, at least for namesake, you can say to everyone, okay, I have donated my lung to my friend. Okay, so because in apex there is less ventilation as well as less perfusion. Nothing is happening, waste lobe. Okay, so right. Okay, just I'm kidding, guys. Okay, apex of the lung is also important, but remember the ventilation is less as well as perfusion is less. Apex there is less, both, right? Both ventilation and perfusion are least. Both are less, but in comparison, okay, sir, ventilation is at least greater than perfusion. Okay, both are less, both their values are less. Ventilation value is less, perfusion value is less. Okay, definitely they are less. But when compared to the perfusion value, ventilation is comparatively greater. Means at least some air is coming here, some air and some oxygen is coming here. When compared to the ventilatory value, the perfusion value is very less. Or let's say something like this. Imagine no blood is coming here. Okay, blood is not coming. At least some air is going there. So now tell me, sir, when blood is not coming here, do you think exchange will occur? gases will exchange? No, more blood will go, more gases can be exchanged. If blood is not going, what is the point of exchange? No, not happens, right? So that's the reason why, as blood is not going to the apex of the lung, there is less gas exchange. The gases are not getting exchanged. Okay, the gases are not getting exchanged. So as the gases are not getting exchanged, what will happen to the oxygen? Sir, whatever the oxygen that is present over here, you tell me, whatever the oxygen that is coming over here, sir, do you think it will be ever exchanged? No, it's not getting exchanged because blood is not coming, right? If blood comes, it will be exchanged. If blood is not coming, it will never be exchanged. So there is lot of free oxygen available in the apex of the lung. So in the apex of the lung, lots and lots of free oxygen is available, and carbon dioxide level is very, very less. So there is high oxygen availability. Just remove the P. There is high oxygen availability. Okay, there is high oxygen availability. A lot of oxygen is freely available because there is less gas exchange. Now you tell me, so wherever there is a lot of oxygen, here there is a lot of oxygen. So who will like to have this oxygen? Bacteria. So wherever there is oxygen, aerobic bacteria will like to grow over there. So that's why, look, TB, organisms like TB, which is aerobic in nature, it loves oxygen, mainly affects which lobe of the lung? Upper lobes of the lung, due to more oxygen availability. There is more oxygen availability, so it wants to grow over there. Okay, so more free oxygen is available, and blood is not coming. Blood is not coming. Immune system is also not coming there. No, not neutrophils are not coming there. Lymphocytes are not coming there. So it is happily in the apex because less blood flow, less immune cells are coming. Okay, something like that. Next up, what about the base of the lung? Okay, we have completed almost 50% of the topic. Okay, apex we all know. So in the apex of the lung, less ventilation, less perfusion, less gases exchange, high oxygen availability. TB infections will happen in the apex of the lung. The size of the alveoli are larger, and that too they are less compliant alveoli. Okay, done. Next, look at the base of the lung. In the base, now we have to see what is ventilation and how is perfusion. How ventilation and perfusion are different. Have I already taught you? In the base of the lung, see in the base of the lung, perfusion, there is less resistance. The blood vessels are dilated. There is less resistance. So yes, greater blood flow. Maximum blood is going. Okay, maximum blood flow is happening to the base of the lung. Now look at the ventilation. How it is different. Have I already taught you? The size of the alveoli smaller. God made them more compliant. More compliant means more stretchable. They will stretch more. So if they stretch more, they can have more ventilation. So more ventilation is happening in the base of the lung. So from this, the conclusion is something like this. The conclusion is, in the base of the lung, both ventilation and perfusion are maximum. Both are maximum. Okay. So where do you think more blood is coming? More blood is coming to the base, sir. More blood is coming. So actually, sir, in the base, both ventilation is maximum as well as perfusion is maximum. But perfusion is comparatively greater than ventilation. So when compared to the ventilation, when compared to the air going to the base, much more blood is coming. More and more blood is coming. So you tell me, more blood coming, sir? More blood coming? So more gases exchange can occur. So yes, in the base of the lung, more gas exchange. So now you understand how the lung is different in the different lobes of the lung. In the base of the lung, more ventilation, more perfusion, more gas exchange, more compliant alveoli, smaller alveoli. Okay, these are the things which I want you to know. Okay, so yeah, there are differences. In the apex of the lung is a little bit different from the base of the lung anatomically as well as function wise, they are different. So that is the reason why. See, if I am talking about the entire lung, two lungs together, sir, ventilation is 4 liters and the perfusion 5 liters of blood is going for both the lungs together. But if I talk about the specifically about the apex, only now I am talking about the apex and I am talking about the base. See, apex and base are little different. In apex, ventilation is greater than perfusion. Ventilation is greater than perfusion. In base, perfusion is greater than ventilation. So ventilation perfusion values are different. So the ratio is also different. So always remember, in the apex of the lung, the ventilation perfusion ratio is 3.2. The value will be 3.2 because numerator is greater than denominator. So more positive values. But in the base of the lung, sir, perfusion is greater than ventilation. That is, the denominator is greater than numerator. So the value will be, less values will be coming, 0.6. So at the end of the day, the point is, what is the normal ventilation perfusion ratio, V by Q ratio, sir? It is 0.8. But if they specifically talk about the apex of the lung, the value will be 3.2. At the base of the lung, the value will be 0.6. Now, let me ask you some questions. You try to answer. Where maximum ventilation occurs? Base. Where maximum perfusion occurs? Base. Where smaller alveoli? Base. More compliant alveoli? Base. Maximum gas exchange? Base. Perfusion greater than ventilation? Base. But in the apex, more oxygen availability, large alveoli, less compliant alveoli, less gas exchange, less ventilation, less perfusion. But ventilation is comparatively head to head. Ventilation is comparatively greater than perfusion. Okay. So these are the differences. Now if I say something like this, if I go from apex to the base of the lung, okay, if I am moving from apex to the base of the lung, what do you think will happen to the ventilation perfusion? Yeah, both increases, right? See, ventilation will be more, perfusion will also be more. So if we move from apex to the base, so very, very important right here. So take a note, very important point. If we move from, okay, if we move from apex to base, both ventilation and perfusion both will increase, both ventilation increases, perfusion increases. Okay. Now if I say, where do you see a maximum ventilation perfusion value? Maximum ventilation perfusion ratio is in the apex, the value will be 3.2. Maximum minimum ventilation perfusion ratio in the base, normal ventilation perfusion ratio 0.8. okay, both the lungs together. Okay, so with this, normal ventilation perfusion ratios completed. Next step, if you understand this, later we will discuss about how in different conditions this ventilation perfusion mismatches will occur. Okay, the diseases where there is ventilation perfusion mismatch. So now take the heading VQ, ventilation perfusion mismatch. Okay, look at certain examples. Guys, in the first example, let's say A, B, C, 3 examples I am taking. In the first example, look, so in the respiratory tract, now there is a obstruction. Okay, so don't confuse. First of all, here is the alveolus, okay, where ventilation is happening, when ventilation will come, and this is the pulmonary blood vessel, let's say pulmonary artery, which is bringing the blood to the lungs. Now, in the first condition, what happened? Here there is an obstruction. So can I call it as airway obstruction or foreign body obstruction? So there is foreign body obstruction. Foreign body obstruction. A child who is playing with some small toy or coin or peanut getting obstructed, or foreign body obstruction. Now tell me, whenever there is a foreign body obstruction, who will be affected? Is it the ventilation? Is it the ventilation that is getting affected, or is it the perfusion that is getting affected? Whom do you think is affected? Ventilation or perfusion? So definitely ventilation. Now ventilation becomes 0, let's say in this condition, ventilation by perfusion, ventilation value becomes 0. Ventilation stops, suddenly stop. But what about the perfusion? Perfusion is happening, let's say normally, perfusion is happening normally, 5 liters of blood is going. So now, as an example I am talking. So now you tell me, in this condition, ventilation becomes 0, perfusion is normal. 0 divided by 5, how much? So 0 divided by 5, value will be 0. So now, in a person who is having the airway obstruction or the foreign body obstruction, the ventilation perfusion ratio is going to be 0. Next condition. Sir, here the person is having a tumor, let's say he is having a cancer to the apex of the lung, or some Pancoast tumor which is affecting the apex of the lung. Because of this tumor, the airway is getting narrowed down, the airway is getting compressed, the airway compression. So right here the person is having airway compression. Now, what do you think will happen to the ventilation perfusion ratio? Sir, in this person again the ventilation is getting affected. Let's say ventilation becomes 0. For example, ventilation becomes 0. But what about the perfusion? Perfusion is happening, sir, the blood went. So again in this condition, 0 divided by 5, the answer will be 0. 0. Next, the third condition, look at here. Sir, in this person, let's see example, because of some reason, the entire alveoli got collapsed. The entire alveoli got collapsed. So when the entire alveoli got collapsed, the condition is called as atelectasis, let's say. Okay, atelectasis. In a patient who is having atelectasis, who is affected? Sir, the alveoli are not open. So do you think ventilation can happen? Do you think alveolar ventilation can happen? 4 liters of air will go? No. So air is not coming here, but the blood is going, no problem with the blood. So again, in the person who is having atelectasis, the ventilation perfusion ratio, that is 0 divided by 5, again the value will be 0, again the value will be 0. So now tell me, what are the 3 conditions in which, okay, what are the conditions in which the ventilation perfusion ratio will be 0? You can say the airway obstruction or foreign body obstruction, airway compression because of a tumor or atelectasis. Those conditions where the airway is getting affected, in the conditions where the airway is getting affected, the ventilation perfusion ratios can go 0. So 0 indicates what? 0 indicate who is wasted? Sir, the letter 0, it is indicating what? It is indicating there is wasted perfusion, unnecessarily wasted, right? See, unnecessarily the blood is going here because it's not getting oxygenated. Okay, the air was supposed to come and it should oxygenate the blood, but air is not coming, the ventilation is not there. So it's a wasted perfusion. Here the perfusion got wasted. So always remember 0 is equal to wasted perfusion. Okay, 0 is equal to wasted perfusion. Now let's look at a few more conditions, examples. Okay, now here in this condition, what happened? Sir, there is an obstruction here. There is a thrombus that is getting lodged over here. Okay, now where is the obstruction? In the pulmonary blood vessel, pulmonary artery, let's say. So this is pulmonary embolism. Now in a person who is having pulmonary embolism, is it the ventilation that is getting affected or is it the perfusion that is getting affected? So definitely perfusion, sir, the blood is not going. So but ventilation is happening, okay. So yeah, 4 liters of ventilation is happening, but perfusion becomes 0. Okay, stop. So now we all know any number divided by 0, the answer will be infinitive. Okay, infinitive. In a patient who is having the pulmonary embolism, the VQ ratio is infinitive. Okay, next, look at this. Sir, I am specifically talking about this area of your respiratory system. What is this part? This is your conducting zone. Okay, conducting zone. Okay, or dead space, anatomical dead space. See, in this anatomical dead space, ventilation is it happening or not? Yes, sir, ventilation is there. Okay, 1.8 liters of air is there. Dead space ventilation, air is there, but it is not getting exchanged. Why? Because no blood supply in this area. There is no blood supply. So ventilation is there. How much? 1.8 liters. We have calculated. Don't forget. See, here we have calculated how much is the dead space ventilation. The dead space ventilation is 1800 ml. Okay, yes, air is there, but is it getting exchanged? No. Why? Because the blood is not going. The blood supply is not there to that area. Okay, so right, in this condition also the perfusion is 0. The blood is not going. So any number, doesn't matter 4 or 400 or 400 trillion, doesn't matter, any number divided by 0 is infinitive. So now tell me, in the conducting zone, how much is the VQ ratio? Infinitive. In a patient with the pulmonary embolism, infinitive. Okay, done. So these are the things which I wanted to know for your exam for the VQ ratios. So tell me, what is the normal VQ ratio? The normal VQ ratio is the 0.8, sir. In the apex of the lung, it is 3.2. In the base of the lung, it is 0.6. And in which conditions it will be 0? It can be 0 whenever the airway is getting obstructed, whenever there is problem with the airflow. Okay, like atelectasis, foreign body obstruction, or airway compression. Or tell me, what are the conditions in which the VQ ratio can be infinitive? It can be infinitive if a patient is having pulmonary embolism or anatomical dead space. In the anatomical dead space, the ventilation perfusion ratio is going to be infinitive. Okay, so with this, the topic of ventilation perfusion mismatches is completed. Hope the video is helpful. Thank you.